Welcome back. I'm Representative Patricia Morgan, and I'm here today with Representative Blake Filippi from District 36, which is in the southern part of the state. Thanks for coming. We were just
happy to be here, Patricia.
Great. We were just talking about the budget, and one other thing that was a hot button for our caucus this year was the legislative grants and the community service grants. I know you put in an amendment on the legislative grants. You want to explain it?
Sure. So I believe our state constitution requires any private appropriation of public monies to be approved by the legislature, 2/3 of both bodies. The legislative grants don't go through that process. They're not in the budget. There's no line item for grants, legislative grants in the budget. It's essentially doled out from the legislature's operating funds. So I believe that they're unconstitutional appropriations. And so I put in an amendment on the floor during the budget debate requiring that the legislature approve any legislative grant. There was a vigorous debate, but it was defeated, unfortunately, because I think they want the ability to continue the unconstitutional appropriation to individual districts.
Yeah, those legislative grants. Now, I haven't. You actually got into a tussle because you don't take them at all.
I don't take them. I took one last year, and then I was provided the brief that Nick Gorham wrote in the Bob Watson case, where he sued to declare that, to have the court declare that legislative grants were unconstitutional. And that issue was never resolved. The court dismissed it on procedural grounds, saying that Bob Watson didn't have standing to raise this issue. So the issue remains, but when I was given that brief that Nick Gorham wrote explaining why they believe the legislative grants were unconstitutional, I morally just couldn't do it anymore until the courts resolved this issue.
Yeah. And
Gina Raimondo, if you're listening, seek an advisory opinion.
I did, and the folks know I took them for three years, and I stopped 2 years ago.
Good.
I just haven't taken them. I gave my own money instead.
I give my own money too.
Because I just think that they pervert what happens in that building. We should not be using. They shouldn't be used as carrots or sticks, and I think that they are. And I think they pervert some people's judgment, which should be focused on their constituents, and it also perverts, I think, how people vote in their districts. So
just look at the disparity.
or manipulates, maybe is a better word.
Look at the amount of legislative grants that leadership brings back to their district versus the amount that rank and file brings back to their district, and that tells you all you need to know about this program.
Yep. So I supported your amendment, but I honestly think they just should be abolished.
Sure, they should go. They should completely go. But if they're not going to go, there should be this added layer.
That's right.
Of
there should be a regular process.
There should be no legislative grants. But if we're going to have them, let's put them on the floor and let's debate them. Let's put sunlight on it. Let's let the public see what legislative
where their
grants
money
are
is
coming.
going.
Yeah,
sure.
It's our money. It's your money. It's the people's money.
Yeah, and people's money shouldn't be used for political purposes, and I think that's what they are used for. And they do go to charities. They go to nice things like baseball teams and football teams. But if we weren't taking that money from people, I bet they'd give it themselves, and they'd get the credit for it.
Agreed.
So then let's move on to the community service grants, another thing that was really hot because of Representative Gallison had gotten them for 12 years or something, he took over $2 million in community service grants from the taxpayers.
Now, as chair of the party 10 years ago, you raised this issue with the Ethics Commission.
And the Ethics Commission.
The exact issue that we're dealing with now. The community service grant to the organization that hired Gallison.
Yeah, 10 years ago I saw it. I was ahead of the curve there.
Ahead of the times, Patricia.
But, so the speaker did take the community service grants, and he put some of them in the budget, and he made some of them like block grants to departments so that they can hand out the money. But he says, now it's fixed. And I say, not so fast. It's not fixed. It's not fixed. I'm on the finance committee. I can tell you that I've been there now for 4 years. This is the first time they've ever been talked about. There's never hearings on them. And I fear that just putting them in the budget will mean they're in the budget, they can be added to, subtracted from, expanded, and no one will ever talk about them again. So the same bad practices will come back into the program that we that we see now.
So I guess the question is, what's the fix?
So we put in some amendments.
You put in a great amendment. You put in a couple great amendments. I think
One.
one of them was saying that no
None-
money from community service grants can go to hire legislators
That's right.
Or lobby.
Cannot be
or
used
donate to campaigns.
for, yeah. So one was that any relationship of a legislator has to be revealed. It's not necessarily bad that they might be on the board of directors of a nonprofit. That might be a good thing, but people have to see that relationship. I know Representative Williams has gotten into trouble with that. It might be a good thing that she's on the board, but why was she trying to hide it? And that's where the cynicism comes in. So anybody who's on the board or is an employee, their relationship has to be revealed. But then the money can't be used to hire a lobbyist. Why would the people pay, why would the state taxpayers pay for lobbyists?
To lobby for more money.
To lobby for more money. It can't be used for professional services of an elected official. So legal services, accounting services, anything like that. And it can't be used to give contributions.
Campaign contributions.
And
what,
those were
what happened to those
defeated.
amendments? They were defeated.
Defeated.
I'm sorry.
Really common sense, good ways to protect that money from bad purposes or bad uses, and defeated. Not by our caucus.
No.
No.
Defeated soundly
Yes.
on
So-
a 62 to 13 vote maybe, or 60 to 15. I think some Democrats, some reform-minded Democrats came over.
Some joined us,
I
but
think it
not
might
very
be-
many, and
might be
they,
Representative Nunes and Representative Marcello. Democrats may have come over.
but it put transparency and accountability into those programs, and we need that desperately. We also need criteria. It still shouldn't be, well, the speaker likes this one, so we're going to fund it. There should be a real criteria of what do they do for the people? How do we measure their effectiveness? But let's,
And the fact that those reforms, those additional protections weren't put in, I think questions whether this program was reformed sufficiently.
yeah, not so fast. It wasn't reformed. It still exists, and it still is subject to a lot of monkey business. Let's just call it potential monkey business. You're the lawyer, you keep me out of trouble. Other things in the budget, we talked about the good things. I think one of the bad things was how much debt is being included in this budget, another $227 million. The debt service on that, so the interest that we will pay, nearly doubles it. So that's a lot of extra debt to put on Rhode Islanders.
We'll talk about that in the next segment.
Oh, well, okay, well, we'll take a break right now, and we'll talk about it in the next segment.